Hello everyone and welcome to my November 2023 reading vlog. It is only the first day in the month, so far I only have one book to talk about, obviously. And that it is Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy, which is the book I am reading off of my 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster. I think I've been calling it Far from the Maddening Crowd the entire time, so oops, I was just filling in the word there. So far, I'm only about 20 pages into that book, and I'm really liking the writing so far. You will hear more about that in my vlog. And so far, I have a few more books planned for the month. Out of the library, I took out The Vampires of El Norte. I don't know the author's name offhand at the moment, but I will be reading that. And I've also taken out DC vs. Vampires, which is a comic book, and it's the Batman one. And I'm looking forward to reading that. So here's the start to a new month. And that's my update for now. Hello, back for another update. So I finished the 2 volumes of DC versus Vampires. I gave the first volume 4 stars because it was more focused on the Bat family and setting things up and the big twist on who the Vampire King was. And I gave volume 2, I believe, 2 stars because it was just the ending of it very boring, very flat, and I don't really care enough about a lot of the DC characters, including the twins and Green Arrow was fine. He was fine in the story, but the rest of them I did not care about. So that was that. I have also finished Far From the Mating Crowd by Thomas Hardy, and I gave that book 4 stars. I will talk more about it in my vlog for those books, but I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was very well written. So now I am currently reading 2 books. The first book I'm reading is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. I am about halfway through that book so far, and I can already tell it's probably not going to get more than a 3-star from me because it's very well written, it's very, very well paced. I'm enjoying the characters, the world building, and the slow reveal of these vampiric monsters, but I am never a huge fan of when the main couple is having miscommunication simply because one of them interrupts the other and refuses to let them speak. Very annoying. I think at this point in the novel they have moved past that, but just the constant reiteration of, I'm trying to explain myself. I won't let you speak. I'm mad at you. You left me. It's frustrating and I don't like it, and it is too much of the book. If it happened a little bit, that's fine. Give people time to explain themselves, usually. Like, that's the most like proper form of communication, and it's frustrating. And they're trying to do like bickering between them, but they like grew up together and they're friends and stuff, so this bickering just seems really put upon, and I'm just not into it. I like the male character Nestor a lot. I'm probably saying his name wrong. I like him a lot. I think his arc is pretty good. I do not like the female character Magdalena. I don't like her at all. Hopefully, I begin to like her more as I read. So that's my update on that for now. And I am also currently listening to the audiobook of 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson, which is, I believe, the 5th book in the Truly Devious series. The first 3 novels were solving the truly devious murders that happened at her school. The 4th one was a sort of summer episode where she solved a murder at a summer camp. And now book 5, her and her friends have traveled to England on a school trip and are trying to solve a murder that took place in a manor in 1995. So far, I like it a lot. I am a little bit frustrated with a character whose main purpose is solely to interrupt them. I'm going to go into minor spoilers here because I'm going to guess the outcome, the twist at the ending. So far, the principal having eyes on them somehow in England and always knowing when to call them and interrupt them, that's a little bit sketchy to me. I think that she might be part of it because she's a newly introduced principal for the school. Obviously, she could have these connections to the murder that took place, so I'm guessing she's involved. And also the character that is the inciting incident for finding out about the murders, one of the 9 liars' nieces, Izzy. She's too helpful. She's doing too much to get in the way of Stevie trying to solve this. She keeps saying, oh, I already checked there, I already checked this, I already talked to everybody, nobody knows anything. So I feel like her trying to sort of block Stevie from finding out things, I definitely think she's involved. And in the most recent chapter, Stevie tried to ask her relation to the character Angela, and Izzy like froze up and quickly went, oh, my mom's dead, my dad doesn't know anything. So I think that the twist there is that she's likely involved in some way. And since the murders took place in 1995, and they are around that age, around college age, who knows when this is set, she could be involved as a sort of like love child or something of one of the 9. She could be part of it, the twist, or she could be related to the other 9 and trying to enact revenge on the one person in the group of 9 who suspects something. So those are my thoughts for now. I feel like that could be it, but who knows? The books are a little bit surprising than my initial theories on them, so let's hope I'm either proven right or proven wrong in a compelling way. So that's my update for now. Stay tuned for the end. Hello. Just a mini update to say that I finished Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. So I ended up giving the book 3.5 stars. I said earlier that I didn't think it'd be any higher than a 3, but the story eventually came together. You figured out like what the vampires were doing, and I thought that it was a very well done and solid standalone vampire novel. I really liked the time period and the storyline. The couple itself, very good storyline as well. I was annoyed with them for a bit, but then they settled into what they were doing, and I was glad for their ending. I've got friends today. Friends joining me because I'm on the floor. Friends. So I am glad that the story ended on a better note than where I was halfway through. So very solid vampire standalone. I'm guessing this is a standalone because everything was resolved. And yeah, I highly recommend this. This is great. It's a very easy read, easy to get into, easy to understand the history of the time period and the language if you don't know Spanish. Everything is really well done. I really enjoyed this, and I think younger or older audience can read this well because it's not skewing too young or too old. So it's a very great piece of vampire fiction. I highly recommend it. Stay tuned for my thoughts on 9 Liars, because I'm making my way through that as well. All right, here we are at the November 2023 wrap up. So for this month, I only read 5 books. So let's quickly go through them and give my final thoughts. So the 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster book I read was Far from the Mating Crowd by Thomas Hardy. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's a nice, good Victorian romance with a lot of actually shocking things in it. I thought it was just going to be a strictly character piece, and it was, but there were some events in here that genuinely surprised me, and I was glad to see the story progress and how it ended. So this is an excellent classic that I highly recommend. The writing was actually quite accessible as well. I then read the DC vs. Vampires Volumes 1 and 2 by James Tynion. I hope I'm pronouncing that. And I gave Volume 1 4 stars, and I gave Volume 2 2 stars. So the first volume obviously focused more on the Bat family and all of the plot connected to that, as all of the DC characters slowly became vampires, and there was a plague of vampires, and some of them are fighting vampires, and there were twists and turns. I really liked the first volume. The second volume was obviously just the ending, and it contained a lot more characters such as the Justice League and other DC characters that I personally don't connect to. I thought the ending of the story itself was fine, but I just was not as excited reading about characters that weren't the Bat family personally. There was a few characters left over from the first volume, but I really liked that focus of Batman trying to figure out if anyone amongst his crew was a vampire, stuff like that, him being a detective, and the protection of his family, and the Robin's protection of their family, and stuff like that. So that was my opinions on that. I then read Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. My copy is now safely returned to the library. I ended up giving it 3.5 to 4 stars. Once the miscommunication trope got moved on, I really enjoyed the book. I think it is an excellent vampire standalone. If it turns out to be a series, then oops, but I think that the story was started and completed very effectively. I really liked what the vampires represented in the novel, and it was a wonderful story within that setting and within that time period. I was pretty engaged, and I actually really liked the relationship. I normally don't connect to relationships in books that are like that, but it was done very effectively, and I was rooting for them to get together. So it was a wonderful story, and I highly recommend it. And finally, I listened to the audiobook of 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson, which is the 5th book in the Truly Devious series. Ending it, all of my predictions were horribly wrong, so don't even take them at all at face value. It was something else completely that turned out to be the killer or the events of the story, and I wasn't disappointed by it, but I was left with the ending a little bit hollow because I didn't see the clues in the story. They are there. It was just me personally not catching them. So I'm not going to fault the book in that way. So the twist of who the killer is and the events of the story all pan out pretty well. Me personally, I was just on a totally different page, so I just had no idea what was going on. What has led me to choose this book with a 3-star rating is the ending. I hated that ending so much. I know it's a cliffhanger for another book, but I hated it. I hated that so much. It came out of nowhere, and I am very mad at him. I am mad at him. So that's why at the ending, I only gave it 3 stars because I got so upset. But it is a great addition to the Truly Devious series. I like the progression of where this is going. I have abandoned a lot of YA books and trying to start YA series and just like paying attention to YA, but this series is one of my last like lingering legs because I feel like the characters are growing, they're finally reaching college age, so it feels appropriate to keep, continuing their story. Plus it's not a bad series, I really enjoy it. So yeah, 3 stars for 9 Liars. I was completely off. I have no idea where my thoughts were on trying to solve the mystery there. That's why I am not Stevie Bell. And that was it. That was my month. Very hectic month in the way of me working in retail, but quiet month of my footage at home and the books that I read. Now for next month, I will be putting out my favorite books of the year list. And as for the end of the year video, I have no idea what I will be doing because I don't know if I will have time to read. I will maybe try to read something. Maybe I will try to just add a little bit of footage into a sort of Christmas vlog, maybe something quiet and atmospheric. I'm not sure yet, but I will be releasing 2 videos next month as per usual. I don't have an 80s concert this year, unfortunately. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.